Hi, I'm John Stevenson, and we're going to be looking at Hannah's song, 1 Samuel chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. The passage starts off, then Hannah prayed and said, and notice it says it said, but this is poetry, and it's almost a song. And so I'm going to treat it as such. I'm not going to try to sing it. You'll be thankful for that. My heart exalts in the Lord. And then you can tell it's a song or poetry because the next line repeats only different words. So notice, my heart exalts in the Lord, my horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth speaks boldly against my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. There's no one holy like the Lord. Indeed, there's no one besides you, nor is there any rock like our God. And so she has sort of set the tone. This is going to be a song of exaltation. Now notice the way she starts the song. My heart exalts in the Lord, my horn is exalted in the Lord, and that theme will come to an end when we get to the last stanza of the song, and he will give strength to his king and will exalt. Notice the horn again. The horn is mentioned in verse 1, the horn is mentioned in verse 10, but the horn of his anointed. It reminds us of something that takes place in Luke chapter 1, verse 69, and this is the song of Mary. And we're going to come back to this because I think Mary is perhaps even using the song of Hannah as her guide, where Mary sings, he, and then goes on to say, has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of David, his servant. But we'll see that in a little bit. Now, the song itself, notice, is chiastic, where she starts, my heart exalts in the Lord, my horn is exalted in the Lord. Verse 3, she says, boast no more, the bows of the mighty are shattered. When she gets down to verse 9, she's going to talk about, it's not by might that a man shall prevail. Verse 5, she says, those who were hungry cease to hunger. And when she gets to verse 8, she's going to talk about not the hungry, but the poor. He raises the poor from the dust. In verse 6, she says, the Lord kills and makes alive. In verse 7, she says, the Lord makes poor and rich. Both the great and the small are seen there. And as we already noticed, verse 4 and verse 10, or verse 1 and verse 10, both make mention of the horn of the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord, she says in verse 1. In verse 10, he will exalt the horn of his anointed. As I said, when we look at the Song of Hannah here in 1 Samuel chapter 2 and then compare it with the Song of Mary, we see certain commonalities. Hannah starts off, my heart exalts in the Lord. And Mary's song in Luke chapter 1, my soul exalts in the Lord. In Hannah's song, there is no one holy like the Lord. Indeed, there is no one beside thee. In Mary's song, for the mighty one has done great deeds for me, and holy in his name. It's praising the Lord. In Hannah's song, she says, boast no more very proudly. Do not let arrogance come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and with him actions are weighed. Here in the Song of Mary, in Luke chapter 1, he has done mighty deeds with his arm. He scattered those who were proud in the thoughts of their heart. Notice it talks about the proud in both songs. In the Song of Hannah, the bows of the mighty are shattered, but the feeble gird on strength. In the Song of Mary, she says he has brought down rulers. You notice you go from the mighty to the rulers from their thrones, and has exalted those who were humble. So it's the feeble in the Song of Hannah, it's the humble in the Song of Mary. In the Song of Hannah, the Lord makes poor and rich, he brings low and he also exalts. In the Song of Mary, he has filled the hungry with good things and sent away the rich empty-handed. So notice the rich are mentioned in both as being abased. In the Song of Hannah, she says he will give strength to his king and will exalt the horn of his anointed. The Song of Mary, she says he has given help to Israel, his servant, in remembrance of his mercy. God gives strength, he gives help, He exalts his people. In both songs, in neither song is there a mention of the promised child, but in both songs, that promised child becomes the impetus for the rest of the story.